Creating the buttons in Toast lesson. Okay, this is the buttons in text lesson. First we're going to create a new project. So we go new Android application project. We're going to give it a name. I'm going to call mine buttons in Toast. Now notice I put no spaces in my name. That'll cause problems down the road. So we want no spaces. And for my package name I always use com.handling.buttons the name of the application, but you can use whatever you want. My build SDK again is Android 2.2. My minimum required SDK is also 2.2 or Froyo. I hate it when it changes like that. And then I hit next. Just for giggles, I'm going to choose a slightly different icon this time because it's not really difficult to do so. So I'm going to pick a different color for the foreground and a different color for the background. This is going to be kind of ugly. So I now have a new icon, and I click next. I'm going to click blank activity like I did before. And my activity name is going to be main activity. My layout name is going to be activity main. Navigation type is none, and title is main activity. And I click finish. And Eclipse is going to go out and do its thing. Let me go ahead and close this other project that's open so nothing gets confusing. And I'm going to go into my project. Now what it asked you to do was to go into the layout, which is in the res folder inside the layout folder. That's where I'm going to find activity main, and I already have it open. You're supposed to go into the layout, and what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to add 4 objects: a button, a text view, and 2 edit text boxes. So I'm going to take this and delete it, and I want a button, a text view, and 2 edit text boxes. Okay, so I've added that, and when I look at it I see I have a button, a text view, an edit text box, and another edit text box. Now notice that I have some warnings on here. And warnings are just things that you're doing that are against the suggested way of doing things, but they don't stop your program from running. So these 2 warnings are both related to the fact that we're using hard-coded strings instead of using the @string resource, but we haven't learned about that yet. This error doesn't have an input type, or it's saying that it doesn't give the program an idea of what kind of input you're looking for. Are you looking for text? Are you looking for numerical? But you don't have to add that, so we're not going to do it. So we hit File, Save, and we always, whenever you have that asterisk next to your file name, that means that that file hasn't been saved yet. And now we want to look at our code file. So that's just the layout. Now let's look at mainActivity.java. What we want to happen in this program is basically we want to create something that's going to create several messages. We're creating a program that when the button is clicked, these text boxes will both tell you that a button is clicked, and this text will tell you that a button is clicked, and a toast message will also pop up telling you that a button is clicked. So you have several different ways of finding out the same piece of information, and these are tools that you'll use later, so I'm showing them all to you right now. So we're going to say in our onCreate routine, we're going to say button, as we did in the last lesson, equals button, find view by ID, car.id dot button 1. Okay, and what this is doing is it's telling Android to go to the layout file. This is the layout file we already registered, and so it knows that we're using the activity main layout file. Go into the layout file and find the object with the ID of button 1, cast it as a button and load it into this variable that we have defined as a button. So if you want to affect things inside your code, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to create a variable of the type of the thing that you're looking for and tie it to that thing by using this command. And once we do that, we can set an on-click handler for a button, which, as you know from the last lesson, is how we tell the computer we want something to happen when this button is clicked. So first, let's go click the on-click handler. So we have on-click listener. My button was clicked. And that right there is the variable name. I can call it whatever I want. Equals new on-click listener. Open close parens, open close curly brackets, semicolon. Now the reason I do it like this is if you've been doing this a little while, you've noticed that you can quickly run into problems with your brackets. And if they're not in sync just right, then nothing else works. So by typing the line this way, I can get the computer of doing the work of making sure that my brackets match. So first, my first error is the on-click listener, and I want import on-click listener Android view.view, not the dialog interface one. We're going to learn how to use that in a separate lesson. And then the problem here is it's saying, it's asking me, it's telling me I have unimplemented methods that I need to add. It's telling me that I've declared an on-click listener, but there's something that every on-click listener has to have. And what it needs is a little routine to tell it to do what to do when a button is clicked, which is this right here. Now that I've done that, notice right now I have no errors in my program. Right now my program will run even though it won't do anything. So before I go forward, let me tie my button to it. So the variable button is what I declared. I want to set my on-click listener to this on-click listener that I've created, which is called my button was clicked. And you see the computer was helping me out because it knew I only had one on-click listener declared so far. So I have this. Now I'm going to tell the button what to do. And the lesson gives you pretty much the code that you're going to put. You're going to have string sub s, where you're going to define a variable of type string, and we're going to talk about what that means in a minute. We're going to set that string equal to button clicked, and then we're going to do a couple of things with it. So string s equal button was clicked. So just like in algebra, we can have a variable that we can put things in. Now a string variable is the type of variable that has alphanumeric characters. It can have words in it, while an integer variable is the type of variable that has numbers, roughly speaking. We'll get more into detail about those later. We have another warning here saying the value is not used, but I just used it. It'll figure it out in a second. What else am I supposed to put here? The toast message followed by the text views. So text view, my text. Now this is another way of declaring it. I can declare the variable an instance of this object first. And let me import the library. And then I can set it equal to, you guessed it, text view, so find view by ID, r.id dot, and my text view was called text view 1. Okay. Now, if you had gotten that far and it wasn't giving you the context menu, then you had done something wrong before that. So that's one of the things to be careful of. So I have my text, and I'm going to set my text. I'm going to set the text of the my text view to something. So the way you do that is you say set text, and you tell it what text you want it to put, and I want it to be equal to the variable s. And now I'm going to do the same thing with one of my edit text boxes. So it's called edit text. my edit box. And then my edit box is equal to edit text, find view by ID, r.id dot edit text 1. My edit box equals. Now you might want to say my edit box equals s, but that's not going to do the job. You have to use the built-in method dot set text s. And then you have your completed program. And you notice we have the asterisk here, so that means we have to save this file, and then we can run it. We're running an Android application, so it's going to take a second for the Android application, the Android virtual device, to start up. I unlock my device and wait for the program to load. The waiting part is the hardest. And so now I have, as you can see, I have a medium text and I have an edit text, and when I click the button, button was clicked, button was clicked. Okay, so there's only one thing missing. There was supposed to be a toast message in there. So let me add that as well. Toast make text. Now the context is the name of my activity .this. So my activity is called main activities. I would say main activity .this. The text is s. The duration is toast length short show. Okay, all my errors are gone. Let me save my file and run it. So it's going to relaunch my application. And now when I hit the button, I get the toast message, I got this text changed and this text changed. Now you're ready to move on to the Tinker to Learn lessons. I'll leave that for you to do.